Alabama football fans are extremely concerned and frustrated with the lack of a run game. Just how bad is it? Stick around, we'll talk about it. This is Way Offsides. 3, 2, let's go. Hey, good morning, good evening, good afternoon, whatever the case may be. Welcome into Way Offsides. The best, if I do say so myself, Alabama talk here on YouTube. Alabama fans, welcome in. I know you're frustrated with Alabama's run game. I am too. I get it. We're going to talk about it. But before we do, I need you all to go ahead, leave a big roll tide in the comment section below, and let me know where you're watching from. While you're there, go ahead and subscribe completely free. As well, it helps keep the show free every time you do it. We spend a lot of money and a lot of time on this. It may not look like it, it may not sound like it, but I promise you, we do. Alabama football is hosting Oklahoma, one of the top 3 defenses overall in the country, one of the best run defenses in the country, and one of the best pass rushes in the country. Alabama fans aren't feeling super confident as during the LSU game against another really, really good defense. Seems like Alabama's played a ton of good defenses this year. Alabama struggled to move the ball for a while offensively, unless they were going hurry up. On the ground in that game, Alabama rushed for 56 yards. That's it. That's it, guys. 56 yards. They oh man, rough outing for the Tide there. Looks like they tried 24 times on those 56 yards. Daniel Hill was averaging about 3 yards carry, their best rusher by far in that game, with 7 carries for 21 yards. Jam Miller, supposed to be the premier running back for Alabama, has not looked himself since his injury a couple of weeks ago. And so Alabama fans are genuinely concerned, and it makes sense that they would be, right? Alabama nationally is a brand that when you think about them, you think about them toting the rock. You think about them running the football, and they have not been able to do it consistently at all this year. They have had a couple of games where they ran it okay. It looks like it's trending in the right direction, and then it bottoms out. It's happened twice this year. But I wanted to take a look and just see how bad it is right now. Now, we're going to start with the Tennessee game. Third Saturday in October. Alabama rushes in that game for 120 yards. I think that's their best rushing performance all season. In that game, you had Jeremy Bernard was the leading ball carrier with 4 rushes for 49 yards. He was averaging about 12. They got him involved. Alabama hasn't done much of that since. They go to Oklahoma the following week, and they're able to squeak out 100 yards on the ground. And they do that mainly behind Jam Miller, who had 10 carries for 26 yards. Guys averaging like 1.6 yards a carry. It's really bad. It's really bad. Then the downhill slope continues, and we already talked about what happened at LSU. So what is going on? Let's start there. First and foremost, some of the issues is on the offensive line. Alabama's offensive line in the run game has been pretty bad all year. It showed up in week 1. They've had some bright spots here or there. You can say whatever you want to about them rotating the talent. It doesn't seem like it really matters who's in there. It's just not working. Now, secondly, the running backs. The running backs are not great. Daniel Hill's probably been the most productive back for Alabama. I don't know what happened with Kevin Riley. He just seemed to has disappeared off the face of the earth. He was kind of looking like he was going to be that premier guy for a while. Jam Miller has not been the Jam Miller that we're accustomed to. And it feels like Alabama just doesn't have that running back this year that they're used to having. Some of that could be because of transfer portals. Some of that could be a lot of different reasons. Now, the coaching has to take some responsibility, right? There are sometimes plays called that aren't really to Alabama's offensive line strength. But I feel like just based off of what I'm seeing, the opportunities are there. It's really about execution. Okay. So it really falls back on the running backs and the offensive linemen as opposed to the coaching. But it's getting bad. And it's been bad, but it's now getting worse. Right. we're seeing a steady decline in Alabama's ability to run the ball, and that's concerning because Alabama's pass offense has looked uncomfortable the past couple of games against pretty good defenses in South Carolina and Tennessee. Now they're about to play another really, really good one. Then they're going to go to Jordan Hare in a couple of weeks and play a really, really good one. Then, assuming they get to the SEC championship, they're going to play a really, really good one in Texas A&M, and then the playoffs are going to be full of good defenses, right? So Alabama, I think Alabama fans could stomach not having a run game when Ty Simpson is on. Now, everybody started raising the red flags against LSU because Simpson was off passes that he was connecting with. He wasn't hitting them. He seemed flustered. He seemed in his own head. And then you could tell that Alabama was working on the downfield. You can't run the ball. You got to be able to throw the ball downfield. To keep the defense honest, you got to do something, right, to keep the defense honest. Run game's typically a quarterback's best friend. Alabama just doesn't have it, and they run a lot. And things like that. So stuff just wasn't working. Alabama or LSU defense came to that game incredibly aggressive. I expect Oklahoma to do something very similar because they have a playoff berth on the line. If Oklahoma doesn't win in Tuscaloosa Saturday, I don't care what anybody says. A 3-loss team is probably not getting in the playoff, even if it's Texas. I just don't see Oklahoma making the playoff if they lose to Alabama on Saturday. Alabama currently is favored, and that's probably mainly because you've got the revenge factor in this game, and they're going to be playing at home. But on paper, right now, what we saw at LSU is very similar to what Oklahoma's offense looks like. The difference is Oklahoma's been running the ball okay, right? They've got a young running back who – I think he's gone over 100 yards in his last 2 games. Alabama's run defense has gotten much better. So they'll key in on Xavier Robinson and hopefully be able to shut him down. But John Mateer can use his legs as well. He's not a super efficient runner, but he definitely does run, right? That's how Oklahoma beat Alabama last year. That's how Oklahoma really hurt Tennessee up in Neyland Stadium, was with John Mateer's legs. I can 100% expect them to utilize that same strategy to try to go back to what they did last year with Jackson Arnold to try to hurt Alabama on the ground. Alabama's defense, I think, is much improved. The linebackers are playing way better. They're way more confident. They're way more aggressive. They're going to break a couple of big ones on the ground in this game, but I think ultimately Alabama's defense will do exactly what it does every game and settle in and start to kind of shut this thing down. It's starting to get that old school blood in the water mentality with the defense. Like once something doesn't go right for an opposing offense, the defense just kind of takes over the game. And that's been the name of Alabama the last 2 weeks. Really in this game, you need to see the offense succeed. It's going to be difficult. This is going to be their tallest task, I think, this year. The run game, steady decline, it is what it is. And I think we as fans have to accept that. And it's putting a lot on Ty Simpson. It's putting a whole lot on Ty Simpson. It's putting a lot on pass blocking. It's pass protection. It's putting a lot on these running backs, asking them to jump in there and take on a linebacker on a blitz or whatever the case is. But it's really how Alabama's going to have to approach this thing on Saturday. They're going to have to be extremely aggressive. Now, the good thing is basically playing Oklahoma's defense is very similar to playing Auburn's defense. I think that it'll prepare them a little more for the Iron Bowl. So assuming Alabama loses this one, I give them I'll go into the Iron Bowl with a little more offensive confidence. However, easily, if Alabama craps the bed and looks like they did against South Carolina and they lose this game in Bryant-Denny, it would not surprise me for them to go to Jordan Hare and lose. So how does Bama supplement a declining run game? Well, you do it with your wide receivers. You do it with reverses and screens and all these different things. And Alabama tried to do some of that against LSU. They were just so discombobulated and the offense just looked kind of uncomfortable. There was no flow. I feel like personally it's because they were kind of going a little bit too slow. I feel like if they were speed things up a little bit, kind of like they do right before halftime when they typically tend to score, it doesn't matter who the defense is. I feel like Ty Simpson and company operate a little more effectively and efficiently. And hopefully the coaches recognize that too, and they'll utilize that in this game. I just did another video that's on the channel kind of talking about the uncomfortability of Kalen DeBoer still. And I brought that point up. Like, if Alabama were to go fast the first couple of possessions and score, that really puts pressure on John Mateer, who's not the most efficient passer. I think previewing the game, and that's not really the purpose of the video, but we'll do it anyway because you're here. So bonus, Mateer is going to really need to stay part of par, assuming Alabama is scoring, to stay score for Alabama. They're going to really need somebody to pop downfield, somebody to really step up and make really big plays for them down the field. They're not going to be able to methodically score, especially if they get in the red zone against this Alabama defense. So they're going to need somebody to kind of bust it open, kind of like FSU had with Squirrel White or Tommy Castellanos on the ground. I don't know that Oklahoma has that on their offense this year. They're getting there. They're going to be a really, really good SEC team in years to come. But right now we're talking about this Saturday. But the thing is, Oklahoma plays a lot of zone, right? But I would not be surprised if Brent Venables and company mixed that up and played some man, which Ty Simpson has. He's not bad against man coverage, is not what I'm saying, but he hasn't looked the best against man coverage. So we'll see how it goes, man. We'll see how it goes. But I'll tell you this, Alabama's run game is not going to help them this Saturday. They're still going to try to run it here or there. Hopefully they can try to incorporate some things to keep Oklahoma honest. But ultimately, Ty Simpson is going to have to step up big. If it comes down to a shootout, which it's not going to, but if it were, I trust Ty Simpson. However, if it's a low score game heading, late into the third quarter, early into the fourth quarter, I think that favors Oklahoma somewhat. So, and it's going to be hard for Alabama to break away from that if they can't maintain time of possession, and they're not really going to be able to because they can't run the football. So, it's concerning, and I understand your concern. I do still think Alabama's a more talented team on paper. I think if we're predicting this game, a couple of things probably go Alabama's way. Allow them to squeak out a very close one. I'm just going to tell you my prediction. I've got it 24-17. Alabama coming out late touchdown wins it. But Alabama's top team in turnover margin in the country. That's going to be a big deal in this game. Ty Simpson, if he goes and uncharacteristically throws a couple of picks, then that's going to put Oklahoma in a very good position to kind of take over, and Bama cannot do that. They're going to have to be very, very secure with the football. The Harold Perkins strip sack on Ty Simpson, we've seen that a couple of times. I think 3 games in a row at this point. We're not going to be able to have that in this game, and all of that won't be excusable because Alabama can't run the football, and this is going to be a very, very good defense. Leave your score predictions below. I want to hear what you think the keys to this game are. Tell me also what you think is wrong with Alabama's run game, and do you think that there's any chance they can fix it before postseason play? Thanks for sticking around with me. You guys are the absolute best. If you haven't yet, please, again, go ahead, subscribe, hit the notification bell. Again, it's free, and it helps keep the channel free as well. Thank you all. We love each and every one of you. As always, say your prayers, read your Bibles, wash your hands, horns down, beat Auburn and LSU and Tennessee too, and Oklahoma this weekend. Roll Tide.